So great companions, great warriors, they even, when they felt scared, they would step behind him and seek shelter behind the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And likewise you find Bilal radiallahu anhu. This slave, Abdul Habashi, who was an Ethiopian slave, and he was classified as a person of paradise. What made him amongst the people of paradise? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, I heard your footsteps in Jannah. SubhanAllah, walking in Jannah. Why is it? What made you get there? He goes, after every single wudu, I always offer 2 rak'ah of prayer. That is what made him get to paradise. Likewise you find Hamza, Sayyidul Shuhada. Hamza radiallahu anhu, who will be the leader of the martyrs. Glad tidings of paradise. Fatima radiallahu anha has been given glad tidings of paradise. And she narrates herself that my father whispered to me something, or Aisha radiallahu anha narrates, that why was it that first when your father said something to you, you began to cry, you began to weep, and then later on he said something to you and you began to laugh. What was it? And she said, at first my father whispered to me that I'm going to die, I'm going to leave this dunya. That made me weep. And then he said to me, you are going to be the first one that's going to join me. And that made me laugh. So that is none other than a glad bushra, a glad tidings that Fatima radiallahu anha is amongst the women of paradise that he gave to her. Likewise Al-Hassan and Hussein, and these are 2 grandsons of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So one should not just give preference to Ahlul Bayt, as some of these people do. They only prefer that only Ahlul Bayt has been given this distinction. We clearly find inside the hadith, لا تسبوا أصحابي, don't curse or don't revile my companions. Don't revile any of them. Because really if one of you was to spend the weight of Mount Uhud in gold, it would not equal 1 mud or half a mud, a handful or half a handful, it would not equal that. Don't curse my companions. And some of the ulama concluded that when the word Uhud is used here, it doesn't mean 1 mountain, it means a full range of mountains. If you to spend the whole of that weight in gold, it will not equal 1 handspan of charity that my companions give, and even half a handspan or hand's weight. You cannot compete with my companions. So imagine that. If we was to spend that much in gold, we cannot compete with these noble people who are with them. And that's why we find that Ahlul Sunnah have concluded, anybody who speaks ill of the companions, these people are not Ahlul Sunnah. Whenever you hear somebody revile a companion, speak ill of a companion, you can safely conclude that this person is not from Ahlul Sunnah. That is the criteria to judge between who are people of Ahlul Sunnah and who are people of Ahlul Bid'ah or Ahlul Shi'ah, the people who are against a party against the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That anybody who reviles them, speaks ill of them, writes anything about them, you know that these people are incorrect and to stay away from them. That's why there's great uproar when Salman Rushdie wrote his work, the Satanic Verses, and who is worse, him or Al-Khomeini? Who is worse? Without a doubt, ulama concluded Al-Khomeini is far worse than Salman Rushdie. Because you read the works of Khomeini, who gave the fatwa that destroyed this man, killed this man. Quite strange. He should have given the fatwa upon himself. He should have given the fatwa upon himself that killed me. Because how he reviles the companions in his works is quite strange. That he's ready to pick on somebody else and give a fatwa, a legal verdict, that this man is illegal to kill him. Yet he doesn't look at his own works of how he curses the companions and how he reviles the companions inside his own works, as many of the ulama have concluded. And so we find that their mistakes are forgiven. That even when historians, they write about the battle of Siffin, the battle of Jamal, the battle of the camel, and other battles that took place between the companions, that even though these battles took place, and works have been written upon them, but the mawqif, the stance of Ahlul Sunnah, that all these people are forgiven. اِعْمَلُوا مَا شِئْتُمْ فَقَدْ غَفَرْتُ لَكُمْ. Do whatever you want to do, because I have forgiven you. It's talking about all of the people who took part in the battle of Badr. Those 313 in number, that whatever they do, they have been forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we cannot pick on their mistakes, that even they fought afterwards amongst themselves, or they make some ijtihad, they went wrong on some understanding, that we can say, we can label these people. No, they have been forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Likewise, another hadith we find, لَا يَدْخُلُ النَّارِ. None of those people who entered the fire who gave the pledge underneath the tree. Those 1400 in number who gave that pledge underneath the tree will never ever go into the fire, is a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Here it should be highlighted that some people who use the hadith, ashabi kan nujum, that my companions are like the stars. Whichever one of them you follow, you will be guided. This is mawdu, this is a fabrication. This is not a hadith, this is a lie which has been attributed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that ashabi kan nujum. And you hear this on the minbar many times, that the khatib will always finish off talking about the companions and they are like the stars. Whichever one of them you follow, you will be guided. This is incorrect. It is the consensus of the Sahaba that we follow. That is where you find that they are infallible. Al-Jama'ah. because some of them, they did have some understandings that they made, but it's a consensus rule that that the Ahlul Sunnah, that they follow, and they stick to these teachings of the companions. So we find in conclusion that we are classified as part of this ummah. And quite strange it is how we're classified, but alhamdulillah, it's a blessing from Allah. نَحْنُ الْآخِرُونَ السَّابِقُونَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. We are the last, but the fourth most on the day of judgment. So we are the last ummah. We are part of the last ummah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but we are going to be the first on the day of judgment, and we'll precede all the previous prophets and all of their people, and we'll come forth. This is a privilege that has been given to us. And amongst the signs that we can recognize this final ummah, or how he will recognize it, is atharul wudu, the signs of ablution, that we will be glowing on that day, that our hands and our faces and our feet, etc., and that will be the recognition that he will have, the Prophet Muhammad, that we are from amongst his companions. So here we find that even a simple act of making wudu correctly is a blessed action. Wailul lil a'qab, and woe to the ankles. Wash them properly is what he said to his companions. That don't take this lightly. That any space that you leave, it will be burnt by the hellfire. That you should wash it carefully when you're performing wudu. Is a sign that will be recognized by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so you find, as long as we try to follow this path, and the men around him, as-sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in, then we'll be inshallah upon guidance. And that's why we find that forever we should be praying, making the dua that occurs in the Quran. And وَالَّذِينَ جَاءُوا مِن بَعْدِهِمْ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا وَلِإِخْوَانِنَا الَّذِينَ سَبَقُونَا بِالْإِيمَانِ وَلَا تَجْعَلْ فِي قُلُوبِنَا غِلًّا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا رَبَّنَا إِنَّكَ رَءُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. Oh Allah, forgive those people who preceded us in Iman. Who are these people who preceded us in Iman? Not just our forefathers and the great ulama, but before that, going back to the companions. They are our brethren in faith. And don't place any rancor or ill feeling in their heart towards any believer. And that is how many of the companions they felt. It is great feeling they had when they would go to sleep, that in my heart I hold no ill feeling for another Muslim. And that is the same message that we need to develop once again. The message of companions, they had no ill feeling. Even remember, if you read, going back to history, the battles that they had amongst themselves, many of them wept that they lift up their swords towards another Muslim. They wept that they done this action, that they made this great mistake, they acknowledged they made a mistake. Anything that they would do. When Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, he said some words to Bilal radiallahu anhu, that you are the son of a black woman. Fika jahiliyyah is what the Prophet Muhammad said to him. And he put his head down on the ground and said, I'm not going to get up until Bilal radiallahu anhu does not step on me. This is how much love and respect that they had. Suhaib al-Rumi, a non-Arab amongst his people, Salman al-Farsi, he said, I am an orphan, but my mother and father is al-Islam. That is my religion, that is my way of life. And going back even to Bilal radiallahu anhu, look at the love and affection the companions held for him, that he is the one who gave the adhan for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when he passed away, he refused to give the adhan. He goes, how can I give the adhan when I come to Ashhadu Anna Muhammadan Rasulullah? How can I say these words and he is not in front of me anymore? He refused to give the adhan when the Prophet Muhammad passed away. When Umar when he conquered Philistine, when he went inside there, he said to Bilal, make the adhan once again. And when he made the adhan, all the companions, they wept. Because now they remember the adhan of Bilal when he would give it for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why did they weep? Because they know for a fact that after he's leaving, everything will come to a decrease. Everything will begin to come down once again. That is how they understood. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put these words in our mizan of hasanah, and make us once again awake and live the passion and the iman of the companions. وجزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. بارك الله فيكم.